Our first big focus of the evening, just what is happening in our country as far as little girls, children, abuse of women is concerned. Today, the worst kind of horror really, an 11-year-old girl who's been raped by 17 men over a period of several weeks. The youngest of them is 23, the eldest 66. This is a group of people who really were part of a safe circle. They were the security guard, the liftman, watchman, and so on and so forth. She was raped in different places of the apartment complex where she lived.
In a country virtually numbed by everyday reports of violence against girls, what happened to this 11-year-old girl is a grim reminder that the depravity is only getting worse. With little change, today public anger turned into violence as the 17 men accused, the oldest 66, the lift operator, and the others including security guards and plumbers were produced in court. Lawyers in Chennai say they will not represent the men accused.
Where was the camera? What were the securities doing? And if you see that the age group of the accused were, even it starts from 66, and he has kids. What is going on?
This 11-year-old girl was allegedly sexually assaulted inside a 300-flat apartment complex, largely unoccupied. After weeks of torture, the girl finally told her sister. The parents rushed to the police. This has been one of the worst ever crimes in Chennai in the recent past. A 99-year-old man was recently arrested for sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl. Even while death penalty is being considered for rape of children, we ask, what will end this torture of children every day? Enough is enough. In Chennai, with camera person Edwin, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
Well, let me introduce my panel to you. On that note, I'm joined by A. Navita Krishnan of the ADMK, Khushbu Sundar of the Congress, lawyer Flavia Agnes, and Dhanya Rajendran, editor-in-chief of the newsminute.com. Thanks all so much for taking our time to be with us. I want to start by asking you, Navita Krishnan, which is, this is appalling, there is no doubt. We are all absolutely shocked and horrified by what has happened. But there are many who are saying that these have just become statistics because India has become numb to these kind of cases. What would you say?
Madam, this is a heinous crime. Really it is, this kind of crime should not have taken place. But as soon as the crime is reported, the Tamil Nadu police, especially the Chennai police, immediately conducted the investigation and arrested the 17 persons and produced before the court. So now this kind of offences so far not reported.
Not reported.
It
yes.
might have taken place, but yes, but this case now has been reported. It is a shame to all, and the police has done a good thing and investigated it and immediately arrested 17 persons and produced before the court.
Okay, but the concern...
I hope the law will take its own course of action.
Okay, but there is a concern. So, and Flavia Agnes, I would like to get you in at this stage. There is now a concern. I was reading online. I think on Dhanya's News Minute only that there are those who are now saying that every child in this complex should be questioned about any possible abuse. So this is one that has been reported, but not the big, and this is a gated community, which in our perception is meant to be safer. So all those anxious to know How widespread could this be, Flavia?
Absolutely.
No. That need
This malaise is there in the society. We have no idea. What we see is the tip of the iceberg. Now, once in a month or once in 2 months, you all highlight one case. But these cases happen all the time. And if you see an increase from 2013 to 14, we have an 8,000 cases increase in reported cases. In the following year, there is another 3,000 cases increase. Now, this just shows how widespread it is, how rampantly men are resorting to this, and how less it is being reported. And whatever measures like stringent punishment, death penalty, nothing is affecting the people. And as somebody said, we are becoming numb to this issue. It keeps happening periodically, and we just don't care, because there is no deterrent value at all with the increase in punishment.
Okay. And that is actually a good point. I did want to bring that up on the program, and Khushbu, I'll take that to you. Death for child abuse was meant to be a deterrent. What do we make of it now?
Natasha, there are times when you're absolutely numb, but then what happened in the court today, where you have the lawyers, the law keepers who have gone and trashed these 17 men and said they will not defend any of those accused, shows that it's beyond numbness. Now people want to react, they want to take laws in their hand. They do not trust that, because they know the procedure of it. It will go on for years together, and every time this case is discussed, every time we speak about this child will be raped again and again and again, and this is going to continue for probably 2 years, 3 years, you don't know how long. I think we need fast-track courts. We need to produce them and make sure that they reach the gallows without this kind of... I mean, you look at the age group. The oldest man is 66, 67.
Right.
I'm sure that man has grandchildren who probably are as old as this little kid. What was in his mind? And they're the people who are supposed to protect you, the lift man, the security guard.
Absolutely.
I mean, what is it that are happening? What goes into the mind of these people? So why not send them to gallows? Why not give them death sentence immediately?
But there is death,
delay?
but we have that. All once proved of this crime, you are meant to get death, but is it acting as a deterrent? I'm coming to you, Dhanya, in just a bit, but Mr. Krishnan, let me just come back to you quickly. What happened in court today? That group of lawyers, the crowds of lawyers thrashing these accused. How do you react to that, sir?
Madam, it is a natural reaction on the part of the lawyers, because this kind of offence used to be condemned. So hence the lawyers, those who are present in the court hall at the time of production of the accused, they have reacted. So there is nothing wrong in it. Sometimes it may be...
But the principles of natural justice also, sir, they're saying they won't defend them. So I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, that this is all that anger and that disbelief sort of spilling out, but that doesn't necessarily make it okay. Dhanya, come in at this point.
It is an outburst.
Dhanya, would you like to respond to that?
Well, see, Natasha, two things here. One, I understand that there is a lot of anger amongst Chennaiites and Chennai lawyers in particular, and that's why perhaps they assaulted the accused who were brought to the court today. But let me just question the Chennai lawyers here. A few months ago, there was another case when a young man called Dashwant had actually raped a child and he had burnt her dead body. He was represented by a lawyer. In fact, he was a techie whose father could afford a lawyer, and a lawyer did represent Dashwant for a very long time in the court. So why did this conscience suddenly pop up? So I'm sorry, I don't agree with the fact that the community of Chennai lawyers have suddenly decided that the principles of natural justice will not apply in this case. The other thing is that see, from whatever information, the Chennai police have been quite tight-lipped about this entire case, other than the information which came yesterday. Of course, we spoke briefly to the investigating officer, a woman officer, who said that out of the 17 people who have been arrested, a few of them have sexually assaulted the child, some of them have sexually harassed her, but almost every single one of them had videos of the sexual assault.
Absolutely.
So the investigating officer is saying that basically at some level all of them were guilty. Now, so we also have to understand that not all these men are going to be tried for the same crimes.
I get it.
So should all of them be denied a lawyer? I do not know. I mean, I completely understand the
Fair
anger
enough.
that is
I
going
take your
around,
point.
But
I take your
and
point.
also the mob.
Yes, just give a moment. Khushbu, I know that you wanted to come in because you made that point that this is just anger, which is, it's natural, it's going to come out in this fashion. You've heard what Dhanya had to say, that they need to apply it more equally. It can't just be no principles of natural justice here, but it's okay somewhere else where the crime is equally horrific.
No, I would like to remind Dhanya that when Darshwant was represented by the lawyers and he was given a bail and he came out of it, the next thing he did was he killed his own mother. And then he was taken back to the jail within 3 months after he was released, and then he killed his own mother over some money and property. So these are the cases. I'm sure that also adds up because you have these lawyers who have supported these kind of culprits and they see the outcome of it. So I think this anger, because it's after all one 11-year-old kid, and let's not forget, Natasha, this child is differently abled. She is a special child. I mean, a kid who can't speak clearly, who can't hear clearly, or differently abled child, you don't do this to anybody. So, you know, there's so much of anger, so much of anger among everyone, and this comes as a root shock that something so horrific incident can take place in a situation, in an area which is probably supposed to be a very elite place, a new...
I see, and the
point
also which has been made over and over again is, and the point is that this was a gated community. These communities, these buildings, these residences are meant to be safer. This is meant to be her safe area. These are people within the confines of this building, of the perimeter, the liftman, the security guard, people we can trust. Now, Flavia, you're listening in all of this. There's so much outrage, understand that there's shock, horror, grief, disbelief. But, you know, there are a number of people saying, you know, there's the hand wringing and the chest beating is going to stop, and then what? Flavia.
What we need to look at as a preventive measure, we have to understand where our society is going. What's happening to our little kids? What is happening to our little boys? What kind of material they are exposed to? By the time 14, 15, 16, they are watching porn. They are visualizing all these images. There is no respect for women. By the time they are 18 and 20, they start raping women. Now, how do we intervene here? I think it's a collective social responsibility. It's not a question of lynching a few men or hanging a few men and not giving them legal representation. That is not going to help us at all. They should be hanged overnight. It should happen tomorrow. It should happen next month. It's not going to happen. 2012, we had the Nirbhaya. There was so much outrage. And finally, Supreme Court verdict came just last week. So, nothing is going to happen so fast. We have to work on an everyday basis. We have to put the victims at the center of this entire picture and see what kind of protection we are giving our girls, what kind of education we are giving to our boys, what kind of socialization we are doing.
Again,
that
revisit it every time.
Seems to be a concern. All we want to do is hang these rapists, and then the issue will be solved.
Right, and that's a good point. Dhanya would agree there, because, you know, we thought that once, or perhaps the general feeling, Dhanya, was that, you know, once we bring in death, you know, child abuse is equal to death, then things will become better. But there's, of course, since then, and even then, there's been this whole debate about death as a deterrent. Does it work? Would you say it's failed?
Well, death as a deterrent is something which has been challenged world over. But no, that's a debate for another day, Natasha. My whole problem is that every time a crime like this happens, we journalists report it, people consume that as news, and then we all get on with our lives. But look at this whole issue here. It's a gated community, like you said. These are people who are meant to protect these children. They did not. I mean, these kind of people could be living within our houses. It could be fathers, grandfathers, anyone. So like the Child Welfare Committee has been saying in this particular case, it is important to have conversations with your children, to let them open up to you, to talk about abuse, to educate them about abuse. It has to be a continuous process. Otherwise, we will simply be outraging about cases and never finding solutions. I think first thing is to start at every person's house, start talking. Like today, quickly I'll tell you a point. Today when we put out the story about this child, many people who are commenting on social media, the first question they would ask is, how do the parents not know something like this for 7 months? Did the child not have injuries? Well, that is a myth. 2/3 of children do not show any physical injuries, even if there has been penetrative sex. So these are things which people should understand,
aware, be in the
read
know.
up about abuse, have conversations with our children.
don't take anything for granted. Be in the know. Last question, Mr. Amanita Krishnan, is to you, which is, how do you like to see this play out? Because there's a lot of, there are lots of those who are saying, as angry as they are, that it's going to go down the same way. The slow and agonizing wait for justice, and especially for children, can be endless.
No. In the earlier case, the boy was given capital punishment by the trial court, and then immediately it has been confirmed by the High Court. And so I hope, I trust our judicial system will render justice as early as possible.
Okay. And like I said, we are not going to take our eye off the story of these kind of stories. We're already running a campaign called Enough is Enough, but we really need all of us to sort of step up to the challenge here and keep talking. I mean, all the signs don't really present us in the face, but we just need to keep those conversations, as uncomfortable as they may be sometimes, going. Well, thanks all so much for your time.